right, let's talk some Packers. The game is a pick-em now, according to many odds makers. Packers and Vikings, high noon at Lambeau Field. Weather is going to be nasty. Still too far to give a definitive forecast, but more than shorts and a T-shirt. Let's just put it that way. Joining us now, Matt Schneidman of The Athletic. He is sponsored by Miller Lite, Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference, and by Rogers Behavioral Health. Good morning, Mr. Schneidman. How are you?
You know, I made a concerted effort this morning to maybe change my facial expression, smile more when the stream goes out, because I noticed in past weeks, I am the farthest thing from a morning person. So it's not the fact that I'm mad. It's the fact that I'm like half asleep. So I didn't want that out there. I didn't want people thinking I'm upset coming on this fine show. So let's rock and roll.
Okay, very good. I love the effort there. Love the hustle. So Aaron Nagler sent out a tweet this morning saying the QB school, that's JT O'Sullivan, Kurt Warner, and Kurt Bankert, who all played quarterback in this league, have said it's some version of, Love is doing the best he can with what he's got around him, but Rogers is God 65329 on Twitter doesn't want to hear it. Good times. Where do you stand on where is Jordan Love right now? And after you give your first statement, I'm going to run you through what I'm calling the non-football coach eye test on a variety of categories. But start with the overall picture. How's Love doing to you?
Sure. It's certainly not good enough from him, but it's not helping that the pieces around him, and that goes from O-line, running game, pass catchers, play caller, are not doing their part either. So I don't think it's just cliche and sticking up for his quarterback when Matt LaFleur says it takes all 11. That's one of his favorite sayings. And we get sick and tired of hearing it sometimes, but it's true. Jordan Love needs to do some things better, and we can get into that because I have a few thoughts on that. But the people around him also need to be better as well for the Packers to really, whenever they want one or need one, to get an accurate assessment on what he can be in this league.
All right. Non-football coach eye test categories. Here we go. Give him grades A through F.
Oh.
Accuracy. Current. This is current, not what he's going to be or anything else. Current accuracy grade.
I'd say B.
Okay. Arm strength.
B.
Pocket awareness.
Pocket awareness?
Yes.
Ooh, that's a good question. I'll go B+.
Improvisational ability.
See, an improvisational ability, I consider the ability to take a check down, which needs to get better. So I'll go C+.
Okay. Running.
A-.
Yeah. Ran for a couple big first downs when they needed him badly, despite the loss. And then finally, capacity for magic, my last category. I'm going to call this the Mahomes category, where you make something miraculous out of nothing.
C+.
Okay. All right. Butchie, any thoughts or complaints about the grading from Mr. Schneidman, who's tough but fair?
No,
fair.
I think it's there. I don't think it's as bad as what everyone believes. I also think there's a comfort level, which I think the offensive line has given Jordan Love. I think that's my biggest thing when you look at that. A young quarterback, I don't care. You can say year 3 or not, but a young quarterback, if he's afraid he's going to get hit, he's not. That's any quarterback. I think that's, to me, where we've seen a decline. Like, it just
one last thing on Love. I can't believe, Schneidman, some people are claiming that the ricochet touchdown was a, quote, bad throw.
No.
O'Sullivan breaks
right in the hands
down, saying this was a phenomenal act. He pump faked midair, still got heat on it, and it should have been caught. Was it back shoulder? Yes. It was designed to be back shoulder. So I can't believe people see that and go, it was behind him.
Yeah, I don't know if it was designed. Sorry, I just almost
not designed, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know if it was designed, but I get what you're saying, that it was intentional to be thrown there because he had to adjust his arm angle to account for the massive human being standing right in the throwing lane. So that was a good throw. But very quickly, my point about, progressions and realizing things in the moment and improvising. There was one check down, and I'll go through these very quickly. 1st and 10, third quarter on the Romeo Doubs touchdown drive. It ended up being a touchdown, but it didn't really matter. But there's a 3-yard pass that Jordan Love makes across the field to Luke Musgrave. Relatively easy completion, but he gets tackled right away. If you watch the tape, Aaron Jones in the middle of the field for a check down, wide open, probably for a first down, maybe more, considering how Jones can make guys miss. And then obviously the 3rd and 20, the last play where A.J. Dillon's wide open. They have two plays to get that. It's not like they have to get that all in one play. That's something LaFleur has talked about since then and how he wishes he didn't call a shot play in hindsight. But the point is, some accuracy things need to be cleaned up. It's not the worst. That fade to Romeo Doubs that he didn't even give him a chance to catch, the one behind Watson on the final drive. On the Doubs fade, the screen was there to Jones, and it might have gone for a touchdown. So Aaron Rodgers, I believe, talked on McAfee recently about how the biggest thing for Jordan Love is don't be afraid to take the check down. And Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur have talked about just finding the easy completions. Yeah. Jordan Love still needs to do a better job of that because those plays are there.
So, Matt, one of those easy completions is Aaron Jones. Should be there. We talked a lot about him. He didn't practice yet again. Should we be worried for Sunday?
Of course. You should always be worried about Aaron Jones this season because, I understand it wasn't, I guess, a re-aggravation, or he didn't come out of the Lions game hurting. It was more he re-injured the hamstring that Saturday in practice, and it wasn't a product of playing. But anytime he doesn't play, I would be a little worried. That's a Matt LaFleur line. He goes, of course there's concern anytime someone doesn't practice. But LaFleur said after practice yesterday that he was a little sore coming out of the Broncos game, and they'd hopefully ramp him up this week. So we'll see if he's on the field today. I don't even know if we'll get an accurate depiction of his participation level because I'm assuming they'll be inside today since it's pouring rain right now.
Yeah, pouring. Hey, real quick, and Josh, I know you got to follow up on the Aaron Jones thing, but with all the hamstrings, is there something you've been around this organization a long time now? What is going on? And should they look at a different strength and conditioning coach?
I don't know.
The hamstring stuff, because it's ridiculous. Like, I feel like the Packers have had hamstring issues forever. And as an athlete, you have to look and as an organization, you have to look at it and say, why?
Yeah, it was funny because, well, not funny. And you're making me feel old. This is only my 5th year here compared to.
But you know what I mean? 5 years, you've seen a lot of hamstrings.
Compared to some other geezers on this beat.
Oh, my God, yeah.
I think Matt LaFleur did say at the beginning of the season when I think it was Wicks, Watson, and someone else had a hamstring, and we're all on the week 1 injury report at the same time. I think it was another receiver too. And LaFleur said, yeah, that if it's something we feel we need to take a look at in terms of a widespread injury, widespread specific injury, then we'll take a look at it, but not until after the season. So I don't know if they need to. I don't know what exactly they're doing with these return to play protocols, with these, hamstring training or certain stretching they do. But regardless of what it is, it doesn't seem like anything's going to change from an organizational standpoint, if anything, until this offseason, according to what LaFleur said.
So, Matt, you brought up that LaFleur said he was a little sore and that they're hoping to ramp him up. And I feel like this season, and even in seasons past with Watson last season, we're constantly from week to week going, okay, so how bad is this? Is it better now? Is it not better? And our questioning all goes to LaFleur, but he's not the one making those determinations. So right. Do you know anything about the communication process between, the trainers or the doctors or whoever's determining these things to the words that LaFleur is saying to you to describe where these injuries are at?
Yeah, they talk every day. Sometimes when LaFleur talks, he used to talk before practice to us. And if we asked him if a certain guy would practice, he said, I haven't talked to Flea yet. Flea, for those who don't know, obviously being Brian Engel, the head trainer, whose nickname is Flea. So anytime you hear Flea, that's the Packers head trainer. So LaFleur talks to him before every practice in terms of where guys are at, what they're capable of doing in a given practice. And there's a pre-practice injury report in addition to a post-practice one. The pre-practice one obviously not released, but in terms of what injuries guys are dealing with, I'm not sure if on the pre-practice report that they have internally, there's this guy's going to be limited. Maybe it's just a feel thing throughout practice. I'm not exactly sure, but they're in constant communication. And listen, we know how conservative this franchise is with injuries. It's been more of the same this year, but I will say, you mentioned Watson. That's one that it seems the Packers kind of avoided a scare on. Watson said himself yesterday that he was worried when he went down on the final drive with that knee injury. And he said, I tried to get off the field as quick as possible so we didn't have to take a 10-second runoff or use a timeout, which they did end up having to use. And he said, I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't get off the field in time. But he said he felt good coming out of practice yesterday. He was listed as a full participant in practice yesterday. So maybe the injury gods are, siding with the Packers here as the second half of the season starts to get underway.
All right. Flea is the Packers trainer. Full name, once more for the record.
Brian Engel, Engel.
It's not. So that's our Flea. It's not Michael Peter Balzeri, the bassist for the Red Hot Chili Peppers, also known as Flea.
Yeah. There you go.
All right. Tonight, 6 o'clock, you'll hear Mr. Schneidman. You'll hear him with John Kuhn and company coming up later this morning. Great work this morning. Smiles, everybody, as
Yay.
Mr. Rourke said on Fantasy Island. Smiles. Good job, and we'll talk to you next week. Thank you, Matt.
And I'm easily going to win our Guillotine League. Goodbye.
Oh,
You're
okay.
rolling. You're rolling.